meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ron, would you do the roll call, please?
Sure. Rich Gussenberg.
Here.
Sean Kimball. Sarah Stevens Morling. Jeff Solon. Craig Rosenblatt.
Here.
Chris Daddy. Megan Rockwell.
Here.
Dennis Ryu.
Here.
Chuck Neff.
Here.
Thank you.
We have a quorum. We have no public correspondence. I talked to Sarah. Approval of meeting minutes, October 24th. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to accept the minutes.
Okay. A second? Dennis, any discussion? All those in favor? It is unanimous. Chairman's report has been very quiet. I did spend today at a pre-bid meeting, and I'm sure Laurel will go into a lot more detail, but we started off up at the north end with a variety of potential bidders. Spoke about the project, walked the site a little bit, went down to the Norton site, and some of the group went into the old Norton building to check it out. Some of us walked up and checked out where the culvert is and some of the site behind, and it was a good meal. Got a good turnout, I think, but Laura will give you a lot more detail when we get to her. And that's it on my end. Architects,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the NGSBC. Pretty modest update as we are out to bid, so that is really the new news since the last time that
Don't steal my thunder.
since the most years of my life were taken off through the PCR process. I
got
was
no
happy
gray hair
to-
when this started. did you?
Right, exactly. Exactly. My beard was no gray hairs. Fittingly, on Halloween, we received our sole source approval letters and our plan review approval letters for both North End and Norton. So that was a pretty involved process, but we're happy to report that based on those, we're currently out to bid. So really, what the team is doing now is reviewing RFIs as they come in. We were at the pre-bid walkthrough today. And more or less on the bid schedule, starting to put calendar placeholders for scope reviews around the first week of December. Laurel will be able to go through that particular schedule. So in your update, we have included the sole source approval letters as well as the plan review approval letters. And one thing that was discussed at our last NGSBC meeting regarding the surge protection at the exterior lighting panels. We have bulletin number 1 for both North End and Norton that are included in this update that add surge protection devices integral to panel boards LPHS 1N, LPHS 1S, with an alternate to provide an externally mounted surge protection device wired to those same panel boards. So per the NGSBC's discussion at our last meeting, the request was to have two different types to get pricing on two different methodologies for providing surge protection. So those are currently at O&G. So
we don't have those prices.
we don't have those prices yet.
Very succinct.
Yes.
Back to Jeffrey, I'm sorry. Mr. Jeffrey
Sloan.
Sloan. Oh, okay. Well,
And that goes
written
back
by
to,
the same person,
that
one
goes-
right after the other.
that goes back to phase 1 too.
Does it?
He was addressed as Sloan in phase 1.
Hopefully at the end, they don't say, we're not reimbursing you, because we don't know who you are. Jeff, I don't think has noted that. I mean, he hasn't said anything to us.
It's odd because it's the same project manager that wrote the template for both letters.
Oh, well. All right, any questions of Justin? No? Okay.
Thanks for not taking us through this is where we were.
Well, moving forward, our reports are more going to be status updates on where we are for RFIs, submittals, any bulletins, proposal requests, ASIs, and CCDs. When we have a fuller board, I can go over what the contractual mechanisms are to introduce changes into the project scope. So.
Not to embarrass Justin, but at the pre-bid meeting today, Laurel started going over, here's some of what the project entails. She turned it over to Justin, who very excitedly, I want you to know about the design and how we designed it, and here's how the classroom wings look, and here, to a point where Laurel said, they don't care about it.
I was on autopilot at that point. I feel like I've given that presentation dozens of times at this point, so I guess, sometimes when you're getting your car and you're intending to go somewhere and you find yourself on your way home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just on automatic pilot.
Yep.
I got a question. What's like a bulletin formally? What is a bulletin?
Okay,
Is that
so-
like a predecessor to a change order?
I was going to wait for everybody else to explain it, but
we got a quorum.
since you asked, bulletin, so the three contractual mechanisms to enter changes into the contract are what's called an ASI, Architect Supplemental Instructions, a proposal request, or a construction change directive. Those are the three things that are in any AIA contract that modify the contract documents. What we do is we create bulletins which are directions from the design team, and they can be either an ASI, a proposal request, or a CCD. So it's an easier way for us to track, like bulletin 1 through 100 are all of the directives that we have provided for the project, and within them there are supplemental instructions, proposal requests, hopefully not too many CCDs because we're trying to run an orderly ship, but mostly PRs and ASIs. So the bulletins, when we issue a bulletin, it goes out as, this is the architect's directive. That way we're not tracking 3 separate logs, ASIs, proposal requests, and CCDs. So you'll see
a spreadsheet of all those?
Yes, so you'll see that our cover sheet has a little toggle on the cover sheet that has architect supplemental instructions, work changes, proposal request, or construction change directive. So when we issue a bulletin, for instance, this one is bulletin number 1, which is a proposal request, phase 1 added surge protection. So every bulletin that comes out of our office is going to have this cover sheet. Some are going to be proposal requests, some are going to be ASIs.
And we'll be tracking those in our
Yeah.
cost logs as well when we submit our monthly report
So
to the committee.
So the next step of that is, ONG's gonna
A
price it
PCO,
out.
potential change order.
Yep.
And the reason why we're dealing with change orders for this particular one, or PCOs for this particular one, because it's already a contractual item versus an addenda that we'll issue during bidding.
So final question, Rich, you'll get that from them, and then that'll come to like Dennis and I for the change order, and then we'll talk about it here, or how, what's the?
Once we get a price,
From
we'll certainly present it to you. It'll also in tandem go to the architect so that they can do their thing and sign off on it if they feel it's valid.
Well, we're getting 2 prices for each.
Yes, yep, breakout prices.
Is there gonna be any confusion between our open item log and what's going on here? Is that something?
No, it's, no, because the open item log talked about, suggesting adding surge protection to both schools. And we
Well, I
can-
mean, just on this item,
Oh.
if, we got a spreadsheet there, we got a spreadsheet
No,
here.
because we're not gonna track that as an open item if it comes out as a bulletin.
And do you
So it'll
normally
come out
share
of
that
this.
spreadsheet with the committee, or is that
We'll
more of an
provide,
internal?
we can, usually it ends up becoming tracked on a potential changes log
Yeah,
that
that-
becomes part of ONG's monthly report. But we certainly, for our benefit, we'd like to see how we're doing, how many proposal requests, what those numbers start at, what they end up at, that type of stuff.
Just when you mentioned 1 to 100, I don't know.
Oh, it'll probably be 1 to 200 on these particular projects, but, cause if we get an RFI that requires us to modify something, within the documents. We will likely issue a bulletin that's either a supplemental instruction. Similarly, if we are reviewing shop drawings and there are modest changes through the shop drawing review, either, door hardware is a typical one, millwork shop drawings are a typical one. We can't just rely on modification. If we're modifying scope to the project, we need to have a contractual mechanism to do so.
So those kind of items may not even,
We'll report every bulletin that comes out
Okay.
as part of a monthly
I mean,
update.
if it's just a clarification of something
Yeah.
on the plans that don't have any financial
Yeah.
implication.
I think we've been pretty transparent with everything that we've been doing as part of our updates. And up to this point, most of it has been, pretty pictures and everything. Now we're kind of getting into a pretty granular, boring stage, frankly.
Yeah.
Although I talked about how exciting it was earlier today at the walkthrough, but it is a rather ordinary part of construction administration.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right. Laurel?
All right, first thing is the phase one construction update. I don't know if we have anything for that.
No, just the only thing I could report at this time is the culvert has been set. Richards Corp should be done by next Wednesday, by the middle of next week with their phase one work. The electrician will be out there actually tomorrow to start their underground for the relocation of the utility pole up front. So we'll get the manholes set. Actually, the manholes are set. I think they just got to run the conduit between the two structures that the utility company required. And yeah, so I'm thinking by the end of next week we should be off the site.
There's a potential change order there?
There is, I think there's talk right now about maybe paving over the top of the culvert before the cold weather sets in to protect the I believe it's the gasket
It's the joint
between the
gaskets.
sections between the sections of the culvert. It's just something that Richards recommended. It seems to make some sense, and
We don't have a price yet, or?
we don't, no. I know that Ryan was reaching out to Richards to get that.
He was, and I don't know, are we issuing a bulletin for that, Justin, or is it just gonna be?
He was just gonna do a proposed change order from
Okay.
what I know.
Yeah.
He just needs to know what he's running
All right.
green.
I think he was waiting on, he wanted clarification on the kind of waterproofing,
Yeah,
and then once he knew that, then I think he could get the price.
he could wrap that up.
Okay.
All right, and then as far as the schedule update, I do have something to pass out, but we'll just, yay, we're out to bid, yay. As of October 31st, we hit both jobs back to back. As Rich mentioned, we had a walkthrough today. I have the sign-in sheets in case anybody wanted to take a breeze at them. I don't know how many contractors are here, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20, nope, that's 5, 10, 18. How many, you count them? 21, 21,
It was
22-ish?
less than 20,
So just a
Different
mixture,
trades.
yeah, but a mixture, it mostly, I would have expected mostly site and abatement demo contractors, cause it was really an opportunity for them to walk the site, as well as at Norton to go walk through the existing building. But there was like a drywall contractor showed up, you had, some controls, fire protection contractor, so there was a little mix there. But they're new schools, so it's not like it's a renovation where people actually need to show up and see anything. We have been getting pre-bid RFIs, questions, however, they really just started coming in like a day or so ago, so the interest is starting to get there. And then I have the whole procedure of where we need to go from here, because right now, when we went out to bid, I sent out an invitation to bid, there was an invitation to bid document with the email that I sent out, so everybody should have access to the actual bid document, so I don't know if anybody checked it out or not. But in that invitation to bid, when we first went out to bid, there's a little link there, so if you ever wanna see what is up there. That link will get you to our FTP site that's got all of our bid documents, so anytime we issue addenda, that's where it's gonna be, it'll be, uploaded to there. So when we went out to bid, we have a bid due date of November 20th for North End and December 4th for Norton. We knew November 20th was cutting it short, was trying to avoid Thanksgiving. In speaking with some of the trades so far, it looks like we will probably likely push North End to the 26th, which is the week of Thanksgiving. And if not the 26th, we may go to 26th, and then we may go to December 3rd, so that's what I have a schedule to kind of reflect all this. Either way, once we push North End, we're gonna wanna push Norton to keep it away from North End. So Norton right now is December 4th, and North End was November 20th. If I push North End, the addendum 1 will also push Norton, so we'll keep them separated. All right, so I have a graphic, which is only 2 pages, and then I have like a little write-up that, probably didn't send that on to anybody.
I
for
did
them to-
forward it to them.
You did forward my whole diatribe?
Yep,
Oh,
whole
okay.
diatribe.
Yeah, okay, because there's a lot to get at. This whole thing?
It's easier when I have my phone to just say, forward this.
Now we know.
If I'm at the computer, I can play around, but on the phone, it's easier to do it that way, so yeah, be forward.
Okay.
Just to the committee members.
Yeah, that's okay. It's, but there's quite a narrative here to go with. Okay, so once everybody has one, page 1 is just the milestone, right? So now you see, January 10th, okay, January 10th for both schools. This is physically starting work on site, okay? Nothing else to see here. All right, so now you flip it over, page 2. So we have a bidding and award semi-schedule, okay? So I just mentioned North End. Right now it's the 20th. I will likely move it to the 26th. We are planning on issuing addendum 1. I'm getting it from Tecton on Friday. I will try to get it out by the end of the day on Monday. And that's when I'm gonna push the bid due date. So I will likely push it from the 20th to the 26th, unless between now and then, I have reason to let's just go to the 3rd right away. So we will likely end up at the 3rd. All right, what I wanna do, as I say, scope review, North End, all major trade contractors. So I wanna spend between the 6th of December, which is a Friday, and the whole following week, scoping what I call major trade contractors. These are the big dollar values, and there's about 12 trades. There's site, concrete, masonry, steel, millwork, roofing, windows, drywall, food service equipment, plumbing, HVAC, and electrical. So that's 12 out of the, I don't know how many bid packages I have, maybe 21, 20. The reason why I want to focus on the major trade contractors is because when Norton comes in, I want those big contractors to know whether or not they think they're going to get North End. Because if I've scoped them and the people know they're not going to get it, they may try a little harder on Norton. So I'm trying to get the big packages scoped prior to Norton's bid coming in. So when we come to your 19th, so the December 5th, the only thing that I will have for you for information is where we came in on North End. That's all I'm gonna have. I'll barely have scoped anybody. I'll just say this is the raw bid results, like this is where we are. And then we'll be spending the following week doing all of that scoping. In the meantime, while we're doing all the scoping, I'm still bidding Norton, still on the street for Norton, answering RFIs, processing RFIs, issuing any addenda that we need to. Then the plan would be for Norton to come in, site, concrete, and steel only on the Monday, which is December 16th. And then very quickly, the next 2 days, scope, site, concrete, and steel, so that by the 19th, which is your second December meeting, I would like to get both projects, site, concrete, and steel, hopefully, everything goes smoothly, and we can get them off and running. And oh, by the way, if anybody checked out on North End that we can recommend for approval, we can do that too, but we don't necessarily have to. We could. The holidays are killing us, because you got 2 weeks after that. And I just gotta
We
get
can thank the
contracts
state for
issued.
that. The
I gotta
original
get
schedule
contracts
was much
issued, which
better.
means we need bonds and insurance, and who's working during those 2 weeks, so that's, so either way, that's why I have January 10th as a start date on site. Once we get past the holidays, then we will continue with our scoping of whoever's left from North End, which is whatever those other contractors are, and getting the majority of Norton done, because I won't have time to do anything on Norton except for site, concrete, and steel before the holidays. So then we'll pick it up after that, and that's why I was shooting for, I don't think we came, you guys didn't come up with a January schedule yet, right? You don't have a meeting schedule?
I actually have one, but I haven't put it in front of the group yet.
'Cause I don't think the 16th is on your schedule, like, I don't think that's your normal Thursday. But I thought I could be ready by the 16th, just to get the rest of the major, or the critical trade guys. I think it's the third
Might be the
Thursday.
third, something.
So I was trying to aim for that one to be ready for the next grouping of critical trade contractors. Just get everybody else done. That was my thinking.
I have us down on the 9th,
Yeah, you're off me.
yeah, and then the 23rd.
Yeah. So I don't wanna wait till the 23rd, I ain't gonna be ready the 9th.
So
Just
what-
adjust.
Maybe switch it,
Huh?
Adjust it, adjust special meeting.
Yeah. We
I'm
could
sorry, I didn't hear.
Adjust the meeting schedule.
Yeah, we can do that. We can just do a special meeting either way. We
Even
haven't
for the
set
one
up
in
the schedule
December.
yet.
It sounds like you're not gonna have anything at the 5th, except you got these
I-
numbers
I'll
in and
just
you gotta
have the-
scope everything out.
I'll just have the raw bid results, you'll just kinda know big picture,
What if
how
we
we
move-
came in.
If we moved that meeting to the 12th, would it be any better for like scoping the trades and everything?
No, cause I'm like heavily gonna be in the middle of trades, I'm not gonna be able to prepare, you know, if this is where we are
So what
type
do you
of
want, the
thing.
16th?
This is in January.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at,
Oh, I was
January.
just talking about.
16th is
So
a
about Sunday.
Thursday.
Yeah, that's when I can have the critical trades done for the, two schools.
I mean, we haven't approved the schedule yet, we could just
Or
change the
just
schedule.
add, can you
It's on
add
my-
it? Can you just add that at meeting?
We can add it as a special meeting, or if there's not much on the 5th, we can, you know, I'm gonna bring the schedule to this group now at the next meeting. I've got it all done, it's on my
Yeah,
computer.
but can you just make 3 meetings for January? You
That's
just-
whatever
you
the
always
committee
cancel it,
wants,
right?
yeah. I mean, we can add in as many meetings as we want, or we can set special meetings for particular purposes, either way.
This is the only,
So you're looking for a meeting on the 16th, right?
of January.
Yeah. Okay.
On the 19th of December, what's our approval look like? Can you give us a package, I'll say, company ABC is the lowest qualified bidder? Is
Yeah,
that good for you? I mean,
Yeah,
no
so-
real discussion, I guess.
yeah,
You're
so
gonna present it to
it's
us?
kinda hard, cause we don't really, we don't remember what we did in phase 1, but I probably had a letter that said, okay, we completed our scope review, this is the lowest qualified responsible bidder, and I think you guys might have voted on it. I don't remember how we did
It's
it.
all fuzzy time
It was
now.
supposed to be a run-through, a dry run. But usually it's just a letter with, this is who we want for site concrete steel, that will release them. There's no GMP, but you'll have a financial picture of where North End is. Again, North End, okay, so all the bids will be in by Norton too, so when I'm looking for that 19th in December, we will know North End and we will know Norton. It's just you're gonna have a preview of North End on the 5th, and that financial picture may change between the 5th and the 19th, because by then I will have scoped and I may have adjusted numbers, so you'll get
So
a
you're
more
gonna have a
accurate
false
picture.
preview on the 5th, no?
Well,
A false
it
preview.
won't be false, it's raw data.
Yeah, but what's the point of that? That's what I'm getting at.
Well, just cause
So
you
we have,
wanna know.
this is my point, Rich, is we have a hard enough time getting a quorum for a meeting because we have 2 per month and little update, right? And we're gonna have a meeting on the 5th, again, the 19th, 5th, that's not gonna have much meat at all. You're not gonna have much from Justin because we're in the same boat. You're not gonna have much from Laurel because we just got bids in.
Right,
There's no meat to the meeting.
right.
And then we're gonna have another meeting on the 19th, which is actually going to, sounds like it'd be productive, because you're gonna have it scoped out.
Right.
And then you turn around and you have a meeting, you wanna have 3 meetings in January. It seems like we're meeting to
Yeah,
have
I
meetings,
don't need the first one.
there's no meat to the meetings. If we're gonna meet, let's meet. Let's not just meet to say we did.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it. As I said, for the January meeting, next meeting, I will bring the calendar for next year, and we can adjust the schedule any way we want. For December, I mean, I guess there's a question, do we need the December 5th meeting? The one thing that people do like that we meet every 2 weeks is we approve invoices, so people are getting paid on a very regular basis, even if there's not a lot of other things to do. And we've generally had quorums, you know, we've been lucky a couple of times, we had to get a quorum through Zoom or something like that, but anyway, yeah, so I don't have any problem if you wanna switch around the January schedule. Are you saying also to switch something in December, Chuck?
I would be a proponent of just not having the December 5th meeting, and meeting on December 19th.
I can always just pass out the results, right? via
Email the
once
results
we-
anyway,
yeah.
I mean, they're available, it's public, right? So you
Yeah,
can see
but what I
it.
have is the budget, like versus the budget that you won't be able to get.
Either way, we'd be able to see it though, and then we have a meeting on December 19th that's productive. I mean, you
have
probably
any-
miss one invoice if you look at the 1st of
The-
November, we're missing.
The
One
invoices
half.
that usually come out for the first meeting are usually Tecton, ONG for Precon, and then Arcadis. I can tell you that, you know, payment comes pretty quickly through the town, so I can speak for Arcadis and say that, you know, we're okay moving it to the second meeting of the month. I won't speak for Tecton or ONG.
Because
We're
we-
fine.
We
Yeah.
don't normally meet the first of the month,
Right.
you know, the December 5th got moved up because of the holiday.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't have any problem, you know, because of the holidays anyway, you know, I suppose if we just said we were gonna do just the one December meeting.
Well, you also have the 1 in 2 weeks, which is,
Yeah, we have one coming up in 2 weeks from now.
which I'll
And
have
then-
nothing.
Yeah,
So
but
the bid at that
it'll be
point.
an update and we can take care of some invoices there.
Right.
And then, we'll skip the 5th, go to the 16th. Now, I won't be at the 16th, is anyone else?
19th.
Yeah,
is,
you're still in January.
19th of December.
19th.
I won't be at the
You won't be
19th.
there.
No, that's our company Christmas party.
Dennis, are you,
Yeah,
you're okay, Chuck?
I'll be here.
So that's 3, we'll have to check to make sure we're gonna have a quorum on that day.
Yeah.
we're also gonna have potential change orders to approve.
Yes. For both Norton and for Norton and North End,
Yeah.
for the electrical and.
Right. So when are those expected in?
We should have them for the next meeting, so we
Yeah.
should be able to cover that in November.
Well, the paving, you're gonna have no choice. You've got
Well,
next
that's
week
true,
and that's
right?
it.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
mean, you'll run out
Yeah.
of time there.
And keep in mind too, it's a change order to phase 1, but it was work that would have been part of phase 2, so, you know, we're asking you, you know, to approve something that was gonna get paid for anyway.
Just permanent, or just bring the binder?
I think it was just a binder.
Yeah, and just on the culvert itself, because the plan was to put, I think, gravel over the top of it, and I think, you know, Richards came back and said, you're gonna ruin the gasket,
Makes sense.
so.
So, if a decision has to be made on that before our next meeting, I would have no problem if we wanted to make a motion to, with Dennis and Chuck's approval, to go ahead with that without full committee approval. What do you feel about that?
We've done that before, right? I mean, I've reached out and you guys have given me the okay, and I've told ONG to get started, so.
Yeah. The procedure calls for it to come to the committee and the full committee to vote, but in this case, it sounds like that's not gonna work because they're gonna be shutting down the factories. What do you think?
Yeah.
Eventually it's gonna get cold.
Yeah, so I would make a motion to allow Chuck and Dennis to make a decision and to report it back at our next meeting.
Yeah, I'd second it.
Second. Any discussion on that? No? Okay, all in favor? Good. Gives you the okay. Okay, so we're probably going to then cancel the December 5th meeting. Is that what I'm hearing around the table?
Yeah.
And when we meet at our next meeting, I'll bring the calendar for 2025, and we can make adjustments in January at that time. Okay?
And Laurel, you will post the raw data?
The bid opening, the virtual bid opening, if anybody's gonna be on it, cause the link will be in an addendum, to be able to click in and if you wanna stay on after the meeting, we can talk about it right then and there. Cause I will have it at that moment in time. Between then and the 5th, if I was coming on the 5th, I would be replacing perhaps low bidders with second bidders if I got nervous, but the pure end of the bid opening, we'll know where we are.
But you're looking just for the raw results, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
you'll
you're
have
talking
your
about just,
tabulation.
I'm talking about like where it compares to everything else, where it compares to the budget. You just, yeah, that's what you're talking about,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
That I'll have right, I'll be entering that in when the bids are being read.
Okay.
I will also check to make sure we're gonna have a quorum on the 19th. I mean, if you schedule everything around that and then you end up not having people here.
Yeah, that would not be good.
That would not be good. So we already know that 2 of us won't be available.
Now, you mentioned mentioned an addendum. If it's only procedural, it's probably okay, but if it changes construction documents, does the committee need to approve them?
Addendum? That's, I don't,
No.
I would,
Typically
I,
not,
we've never had a committee need to approve an addendum, but that's ultimately your choice.
Just a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually you just have access to it.
And
Yeah,
usually they're
I
based
think-
on the RFIs that come through.
Let me caveat that, Dennis, by saying if there was some like major bust that requires us to significantly alter the scope of the project, I think it is our duty to notify the NGSBC, but typically these are like
RFIs that come through. the process.
RFIs, seeking clarifications, you know, adding notes to details, that type of stuff.
Move the elevator.
You're opening old wounds.
I didn't open anything.
So again, just so that, there was a little thing at the bottom, so we're gonna prioritize site concrete steel, then we're gonna go to our critical people, which is the people that are on our critical path, those are your plumber, our HVAC, our electrician, you know, that second group, and then everybody else will wait until the GMP is done. So we're doing it in tiers, just so we can try to get stuff going as quickly as we can, trying to make up for lost time there, not being on the street, and the holidays. Double whammy. Double whammy. That's it.
If perchance we don't have a quorum on the 19th,
Oh jeez.
Would
Now
you-
you're scaring me.
well, I'm just, you know, spitballing. Would you have anything earlier than that? Or is the 19th really the
Well, I
late
won't
at
have
the early?
Norton, cause Norton's coming in on the 16th, so I definitely want to do Norton. And then what am I gonna do with Norton? Let it be late. I mean, my only choice is let it be late. Have to start that much later.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was just wondering, like, I know I think I'm still here on the 17th, but, maybe I fly out on the 17th. Okay, well, hopefully, I don't know,
Is it the day? Is it the Thursday that's the problem, or it's the Wednesday? Like, it
I'm
has
going,
to-
I'm going for 2 weeks in California, you have an event that evening.
Just that
Um,
evening.
I think that Jeff Solon told me he has a conflict next several Thursdays.
At night.
Well, because we've moved our schedule, we're now bumping into Board of
Yeah.
Ed meetings.
It couldn't be a different time.
So, well, that's the other possibility is we could do it earlier, so that Jeff could do that meeting and then go to his board meeting, something like that.
Or just send something out and see who's gonna be there first.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what I'm gonna
we can
do.
adjust it to like
Yeah, so
5
we-
or something if we have to.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do, just to make sure that we're all set for that meeting. Okay, yeah, I made a note of it.
I had 2 questions on the construction update. The last time we talked about the electrical equipment in phase 1, is there any update on that? Like where it's at order-wise,
Ryan-
generator and
Yeah,
Give
Ryan,
you a page.
yeah, he's still waiting for some information from on the actual delivery dates. We have the submittal dates and what I could do is I could issue those tomorrow to you. Cause Ryan did get those to me, I think yesterday, but he was still waiting to try to update
Yeah,
that.
we had asked Ryan last, you weren't at the last meeting, but
Yeah.
we had asked Ryan as
Yep.
part of his phase 1 report each time to also
Provide
include that.
material, yep, the material delivery logs, yeah,
Which he did.
and he did, he
Yeah.
provided both of those, but he was still waiting for a couple of delivery dates, anticipated delivery dates on the gear and, so what I can do is I can forward what he has put together.
It's the generator, it's everything, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Well, if you can send it to me, I'll forward it out to the committee.
Okay.
That's the easiest thing. The other question I had is, you had done a little brochure for phase 1 for the people who lived around the Norton site.
Mhm.
We needed to do a brochure for starting phase 2
Mhm.
for both Norton and North End.
Yep.
When can we see that brochure before it goes out to everyone?
When, they're pretty simple to make up. I think on this particular one, we'd wanna do added some graphics of the buildings look like and make it a little bit more attractive. I think Ryan did get one out, you know, just to the local people.
Yeah, for phase one.
For phase one.
But what I wanted to do is to make
So-
sure before we start construction on January 10th,
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure that we have that in hand and it's going out to the people in
I could get
that area.
somebody working on it now, so we have it for the next meeting.
Okay,
If
that would be
that's-
great.
that's okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
Merry Christmas, here's a backhoe.
In your backyard. Anything else, Laura?
No, I'm all set.
All right, thank you very much. Action on submitted invoices, we have
Three.
three invoices.
Yep. A little light this week, but we've got Tectons for both the projects, and then we have TestCon for the North End project.
All right, so for Norton Elementary, we have Tecton Architects, $117,409.77. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Greg, second? Maddie? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous. Material testing for North End Elementary, TestCon Incorporated, $1,156. Do we have a motion? So moved, Dennis, second? Okay, any discussion on that?
I have a question. What's the difference in the rates? Like, it's, the description's the same, the quantity's the same. What's the rate?
Could be half day, full day. I'll check that out.
It's usually how it goes. It's probably a half day and a full day rate.
Yeah.
The half-day rate is a better deal.
They should work
We should
two
have
half
work a
days.
lot of half days,
Be all set.
we'd save a little money there.
Yeah. I'll look at that.
Are we ready to approve? Yes?
It's 11:56.
All those in favor? Okay, unanimous. And Tecton Architects for the North End Elementary School, $143,687. A motion? So moved, Dennis?
Second.
Greg? Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All set.
Actually, wait. Isn't the invoice amount? Oh, never mind.
You all
Okay.
set? Okay. We had talked about a couple change orders.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Nothing pending right now, but we will do the surge protection for both the schools when the price comes in.
Yeah, this committee hasn't made any decision on that.
Right.
I want to make that clear, you know, Chris brought it up as an issue, we explored it, we said, let's get some prices. We have not made a decision, should we go forward with this or not.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just want to make that clear. And without Chris here, I mean, he's really the expert in that area from our committee. I sort of understand what he's at, but we'll see. Okay. Open item log update.
So the same three open items that we've had over the last 2 or 3 meetings are still on. First one is the builder's risk policy. We're getting closer to construction. I did touch base with Vin today. We're putting together the information that the carrier needs in order to write the policy. Vin said, you know, once we transmit that information, it'll be pretty fast for them to get the policy in place. So Vin and I are working on this. We'll make sure that we're going to have a policy in place.
Number 77, temporary staff parking solution for fall 2026. There's been a couple of conversations around that
Yeah.
recently. Can you update us as to where we are there?
Yeah, so Laurel and I had a conversation with Vin and Rich Clavette a couple weeks ago, And we wanted to understand, you know, what their needs were and where things were gonna go with this temporary parking lot. If in fact we need to do a temporary parking lot versus shuttle service versus maybe the church across the street. And Rich Clavette and Vince said that they were looking for parking of, temporary parking of a certain size. I think, Laura, do you remember how many spaces?
They wanted 75, the plan right now only allows for 62, and Vinesh was gonna look at it again, but chances are that 62 is all you're getting.
Well, yeah, I think they looked at it and said we couldn't get you more than the 62. So they're gonna look at it again, but I think that's it. We did talk about, we did tell that, gave that information to Vin, and Vin said, well, you know, we'll figure out what we have to do if we can only get 62 spots. So that's the fallback position, is that we're going to price the value of the gravel parking lot with striping.
So it's become a gravel parking lot now.
It's a gravel parking lot.
Originally was a paved parking lot.
Right.
And so, and you're gonna have to put a gravel parking lot down anyway for the work.
Just for our work, so
For the
it won't be
workers.
that much of a premium to stripe it and remove it later, and 'cause that's the whole thing is,
You're gonna
they're
have to
gonna,
remove it one way or the other.
we're gonna have to
usually.
remove it one way or other, but if we were only using it for our construction, obviously it would come out, we would put the grass down and we'd be done. But since we have to leave it there and come back the following spring, now take it out and do it, it's that remobilization cost that's later, and
Yeah.
that's the actual added cost.
And that we'll find out when we go out to bid, because that's.
When the bids come
That's an
in, they're
alternate.
pricing that, and they know that it's for July, 2026.
So there will be a defined price for this temporary parking lot. It's not gonna be buried in somebody's,
Right.
in somebody's, contract. So we'll know what that value is. It'll be an alternate. The building committee can exercise that alternate or not exercise that alternate. And then, you know, we can make that determination, I think at a later date, right? I don't think we have.
Yeah, I told them they have to hold their price till July 1st, 2026.
Yeah.
And then it depends on how the bids come in. If we're under budget, you can always write it into the contract and take it out later, you know, if you wanted to. Or we can just say, you know, the owner has the right to, at that point it'd be a change order. You'd have to give a change order to the contractor, but at least we would lock in the number right on their contract.
If it's a gravel lot for the teachers, you're gonna have to pave a portion of it for accessible parking.
Oh, for handicap parking, yeah.
Then.
The assumption is that we're still having the kind of parent pickup and drop off area.
We still have the parent
that
pickup that's got all the
that has
kids
accessible-
ADA there.
that has accessible parking as part of that.
It's just the lot behind the school that's going away that you have to put temporary in place of.
It's really where that grassy field is, right? It's
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 right
that
behind where
huge
that-
grassy
How
field
many
area.
parking spots are there right now?
There's none.
Like, how many parking spots are we taking away that we need to have a temporary parking spot, for the parking lot for?
The whole
The whole-
parking lot's
there's
in the
none.
front.
The whole front?
Yeah, the whole front, the only thing that
I
will
thought
be
we
left,
just- Oh, it's the new parent loop is
Yeah.
what'll
the
be.
parent
Yes.
loop, and then there's some ADA spots in there, it's basically visitors. It's the visitors parking is what we're turning over with the school, as well as all that other ADA parking. And then the whole grassy lawn area is what the temporary lot would be, and the most we could fit there is 62.
But if we had a staff member who needed handicap parking.
Can't they park in the
They
front?
could park in the front.
Yeah, why can't they park in
Sure.
the front?
As long as the numbers match.
It's for 3 months.
Building code is building code.
So actually, your building official has the authority to
Yeah.
accept any temporary condition that is involved in sequencing of
And
the
from
process.
memory, there's quite a few ADA spots out front.
They
I'm just
wanted
going from memory.
to carry the same amount as what they had, so,
Yeah.
so,
Now, we did talk to Dr. Solon yesterday.
yesterday.
And he said that he had met with the father from the church to discuss the parking there. And I guess, you know, they are hoping to sell the church, to sell that lot. And I guess he also had some concerns about making that a regular parking for the school due to some liability issues and things like that. So Jeff was saying if they didn't sell it, they would probably try to come up with some sort of a contract where we would take the liability, and that we would lease that parking area for that period of time. But it's all up in the air, and it was
Yeah.
uncertain at this point whether that would be a possible use or not.
So the three options that are out there is put a temporary parking lot in, possibly sign a lease with the church to use that temporary parking lot, or as Vin had said, shuttle people back and forth from
And it-
the high school.
And it may be a combination of
And
them,
it may be a
right?
combination of the three, but, you know, once we have the price for the temporary parking lot and, you know, maybe somebody negotiates with the church, we'll have values. And then, you know, the building committee can decide which one seems to make more sense, because this is not a zero value, there will be a cost, to do something.
No matter what.
No matter
We're
what,
gonna
right, no matter what,
entail something.
right.
Even the shuttle's somebody's
Yeah.
gonna have to absorb that.
Yeah, but our budget that we sent up to the state had nothing in there for this.
Well, we always had a budget in there for temporary lot in the construction number.
Yeah, it's like logistics and construction. It's,
Right.
it's in the construction value.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, but any additional cost was not included, and or cost for shuttling or lease.
That's right.
That would probably not be reimbursable anyway.
If it's off-site. it
Yeah,
would be.
that would, no.
If it's on-site, I would assume it
Not
would
for
be.
the shuttle.
No, not for the shuttle, I'm saying if we.
Or the
if-
temporary
if
lot
we-
would be,
If we, yeah, if we had, you know, some costs involved with putting in a temporary lot, I assume that would
That'd
be
be-
reimbursable.
So you're gonna get half of that back. So, you know, if the value of shuttling or, you know, signing a lease with the church is less than half of what it is to put in a temporary parking lot, then it makes sense to do one of those two things.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then the last one on the open items is what we had talked about regarding the surge protection. So we can close that item since we already have the bulletin out and we're tracking that.
Contract amendments,
None.
and we didn't do budget this time, right?
No.
Okay. Any other items from the committee? Staff, anything? If not, then a motion to adjourn? So moved, seconded? All those in favor? Okay, thank you very much.